First published in 1942, Mythology by Edith Hamilton is a comprehensive collection of Greek and Roman myths, with a brief section at the end on Norse mythology. Hamilton, an American educator and classicist, approaches these myths as both a storyteller and a literary critic. She organizes and retells the ancient tales, while also evaluating the ancient sources as literary works. Her perspective is shaped by the belief that Greek and Roman civilizations are foundational to Western culture, that skepticism offers deeper insight than piety, and that a coherent narrative can emerge from the diverse ancient sources that have survived. In her preface and introduction, Hamilton outlines her aim to provide both an understanding of the myths and insight into the minds and imaginations of those who created them. She acknowledges that her sources span over 1,100 years, noting the simplicity and piety of earlier sources compared to the urbane and enlightened tone of later works. Hamilton argues that it's impossible to weave the myths into one unified narrative, yet she selectively blends plot points from texts written across centuries and contexts, creating cohesive stories for individual myths. For instance, she draws from Homer's Iliad and Odyssey from the 8th century BC and Virgil's Aeneid from the 1st century BC to reconstruct myths surrounding the Trojan War. The book is divided into 7 sections. Part 1, The Gods, the Creation, and the Earliest Heroes, explores the cosmology of the ancient Greeks and Romans. It begins with chaos, meaning chasm in ancient Greek, the birth of the Titans, and their eventual overthrow by Zeus and the Olympian gods. Using a variety of ancient sources, Hamilton delves into how the Greeks and Romans understood the cosmos's creation, the roles of their gods, and the origins of humanity. She identifies which gods she deems most significant, drawing from both her interpretation of ancient texts and her own views on human imagination. The section ends with myths about pre-Trojan War heroes that provide origin stories related to geography and flowers. In Part 2, Stories of Love and Adventure, Hamilton recounts 9 love myths and 5 adventure myths. Among the most influential love stories are those of Cupid and Psyche, Orpheus and Eurydice, and Daphne and Apollo. The adventure myths include Jason's quest for the Golden Fleece, Phaethon's disastrous attempt to drive the chariot of the sun, his father, Bellerophon's taming of Pegasus, and Daedalus's attempt to escape Crete with his son Icarus. Part 3, The Great Heroes Before the Trojan War, narrates the tales of Perseus, Theseus, Hercules, and Atalanta. Part 4, The Heroes of the Trojan War, begins with the marriage of Achilles' parents, Peleus and Thetis, and the rivalry among the goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite over the golden apple of discord that sparked the war. Hamilton then recounts key events from the Iliad, the quarrel between Achilles and Agamemnon and its consequences, Odyssey, Odysseus' journey home after the war, and Aeneid, Aeneas' escape from Troy and the founding of the Roman Empire. In Part 5, The Great Families of Mythology, Hamilton delves into the family trees central to many myths. The House of Atreus includes Tantalus, Agamemnon, and Iphigenia, with Agamemnon and Iphigenia playing significant roles in the Trojan War. Oedipus and Antigone, whose stories are the focus of several of Sophocles' plays, belong to the House of Thebes. The myths of the House of Athens, particularly that of Procne and Philomela, are prominent in Ovid's writings. Part 6, The Less Important Myths, covers a range of myths and characters that don't neatly fit into the previous sections. These include the stories of Midas, Aesculapius, the Danaids, Arachne, and the Centaurs, among many others. Hamilton concludes with The Mythology of the Norsemen, offering a brief overview of Norse mythology. She explores the creation of the Norse cosmos, the major gods and heroes, and the implications of these myths for the Teutonic worldview. Hamilton's reasoning for including Norse mythology is that it completes the imaginative and intellectual landscape of her ethnic group. She considers the Greeks and Romans her cultural ancestors, while the Norsemen are her racial ancestors. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.